This represents what once existed in America, the sacred relationship between doctor and patient. That relationship has been under attack by the medocrats in Washington and with the third-party payers. As they erode that relationship, that sacred relationship between doctor and patients, we're seeing a lot of negative effects on healthcare in America. One of which, of course, is the cost of healthcare. We need to fight for the most fundamental property right that we have, and that is the right to our own body. Because those are the rights that we're losing, the rights to regulate our own health, our own body. Over the decades since the first unconstitutional foray into the regulation of our health, we have seen the erosions of these rights and the control by the medocrats that are taking that over. My name is Ralph Weber, and tomorrow marks my 10-month anniversary in Tennessee. I left California. Thank you. I left California for a few reasons. Number one, Jerry Brown. But I was looking between Texas and Tennessee, and a few things influenced my decision. One of them, I heard a quote from Tennessee. I heard somebody in Tennessee say, "We need a Travelocity for healthcare." And I said, maybe somebody out there gets it. Maybe somebody understands that competition cures most problems, not Washington. The third reason that was the deal clincher was when I was here on my house hunting trip about a year and a half ago, right after the floods. I came out here and I saw Tennesseans say no to FEMA, no to Washington. Stay out. We're the volunteer state. We don't want your trailers. We don't want your cash. We don't want your strings. Stay out. That was what closed the deal on Tennessee. And I said to my wife, I said, maybe that's the place we ought to be. So we loaded up our truck and we moved to Tennessee. 5.5 years prior to coming here, I lived in Canada. Now, I left Canada for a couple of reasons. Number one, my wife waited 2.5 years for foot surgery. She was on a surgical waiting list. Near the end, she couldn't walk. She couldn't get around. She was in constant pain. They gave her a cane. They gave her a walker. They gave her Vicodin. They gave her everything but treatment. And she suffered. My son was hit by a car and his head went through the windshield. He was unconscious. He was taken to emergency. He waited 3 hours and got an X-ray and was discharged. No CT, no PET scan. Technology wasn't available. And we decided as a family, this is not worth our health. The promise of coverage does not equal access. So that's why we left Canada. When I first got to California, I was very heavily involved, even in Canada, in the healthcare industry, healthcare finance, healthcare policy. When I got to California, I participated in a healthcare forum with Rudy Giuliani, and I wrote his healthcare policy after that. And I spent a lot of time educating politicians on the issues, on the true issues of healthcare, and the true issues that were facing us, and the true solutions. We are under another very big threat, though, right now. A threat that nobody's talking about because nobody's quite identified what that is. In our lifetimes, the people up on the stage and the people in the audience, we've seen outsourcing of manufacturing jobs, telephone answering, computer programming, agriculture. These jobs have been outsourced as they become unaffordable to do in the United States due to government intervention, regulation, taxation, and unions forcing the price up. So as this happens, we've been outsourcing those jobs. Now what we have is medical jobs being outsourced. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a free market guy. I believe there's a reason we grow wheat in Saskatchewan and make televisions in Korea. Okay? I don't have a problem with global competition. Okay? No problem. Here's where my personal problem is, what I take issue with. Deloitte has done a study, and they estimate that up to $599.5 billion per year by 2017 will be outsourced. It'll leave the United States. 600 billion, that's about 10 million jobs that are going to leave the United States. Okay? And that's going to grow at 35% per year, according to their estimates. The biggest problem that is causing that is the virtual prohibition upon competition in medical care. Milton Friedman once referred to the AMA as the most powerful medical guild in America, and that's very true. They fix prices for 7,800 procedures, and then that's the price paid for the procedure. The doctor with the more experience and the better education doesn't get paid more. The doctor that graduated bottom of the class doesn't get paid less. They're all paid the same because of this price-fixing scenario, and competition is virtually prohibited. The overseas doctors and facilities, they understand this, and they're all too willing to compete, okay? And they're luring the patients overseas. However, rarely are their prices less than doctors in America who do compete. Now, the country which no longer makes its own bullets and tanks and ships can never win a war. The country that cannot take care of its patients anymore will be a slave to the rest of the world. So this is a trend that is starting that we have to be aware of, and we can only react by competing, not by regulating. We need to compete. So we need to break the stranglehold that the third-party payers and the medocrats have on this prohibition of competition. We do need to get mad, and we do need to get vocal, and we do need to call our congressmen, our senators, and talk to them about it. Over the next 3 hours, you'll have some very talented speakers on both sides of me talking about issues like the sanctity of the doctor-patient relationship, free market operations in medical care. They're going to be talking about TennCare and how it's affecting physicians, and about how we could make Tennessee the inbound medical destination for other states and other countries. I'd like to take a second and acknowledge the doctors in this room. I know I saw a lot of RSVPs from physicians. Thank you for coming out. And the other healthcare providers, nurses, other people engaged in healthcare, thank you very much for coming out. On your seat, you will see a form, and on one side is the form for doctors, and that's the side with the one doctor on the top. If you want to join the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, fill out that side and fill out the bottom. And during the break, we'll have a 10 to 15-minute break. Chris and Heather will be outside, and they'll help you with that. On the other side of the form, where you see the high-fiving people, that's for those of you who are patients. Okay, you can also get engaged. You can become an associate member of AAPS. In addition, you'll get 12 free medical bids through MediBid. We need everybody to get involved. We need everybody in this fight. I'd like to also thank the Tennessee legislators, including Judd, my friend, May Beavers, and I've seen a few out here. I know that some people are delayed by traffic, for the leadership that you've taken in starting to turn this ship around. During the break, we'll have about halfway through, actually even before the break, we have index cards. If you have any questions related to healthcare, related to medical tourism, medical care in Tennessee, TennCare, any Doctors Town Hall patient questions, please fill out the index cards and hand them to one of the people in white shirts. If you want it addressed to a specific individual, write that person's name at the top and hand them in. We'll read them at the end. We'll have 34 minutes for questions.